Today is a special day for the prehistoric animals that are in the valley. Today marks the day known as mating season. Mating season is when animals come together to find mates and prepare for the next generation of their species. A male pteranodon tries to attract female by showing off his colorful wing pattern. Luckily for him, she seems interested. It's not just the pterosaurs that are also doing their best to find or attract mates. An alpha male velociraptor is on the prowl. However, he's not hunting. Instead, he is looking for a mate. And he finds one lone velociraptor. It's Slice. She is resting by the plants in the valley. The alpha male sees her as a perfect mate, and he plans to attract her. Being cautious, he slowly walks up to Slice. First, he tries to get noticed, simply by walking in front of her view, showing off his body figure. Once he sees that he's got her attention, he begins to show off his colors. And he starts off with the feathers on the top of his head, and he slowly moves down to the bright red colors on his tail. He checks to see if she is amused by this. Slice is not interested in the male velociraptor. The raptor will not take no for an answer. Slice stops by the small lake to get a drink of water. The male followed her, and because she's crouched over getting a drink, he believes that this means she's receptive. He tries his best to go behind her back. This begins to get Slice uncomfortable. Slice is much bigger than him. The alpha male will have to be careful. She begins stamping. This is a warning to the alpha male to not come any closer. But of course, he doesn't listen. Slice is a velociraptor, and velociraptor is known for having a large brain. Slice herself is very smart. Rather than deal with the alpha male and his nonsense, she decides to leave. And of which, he follows her. Now she's getting agitated, which proves the alpha male has gotten way too close. The male retaliates and knocks her over. He decides to attack her. But that is not happening. Slice is saved by Snaggletooth, the Ceratosaurus. Snaggletooth is the last of his kind. Or at least, that's what he assumes. He's only been through part of the valley, not all of it. If he's lucky, he'll be able to find another one of his species. Slice herself decides to join the feast. While they eat the alpha male velociraptor's corpse, Stephanie is out of the small lake, waiting to find a mate. She herself is in perfect mating condition. All that's left to do now is wait for a male. Approaching Stephanie, the Sarcosuchus is a young male. He first shows affection by letting out low-frequency calls. He does this by going close to her, making sure that she can hear this. She responds to these, and they nudge each other on the side, showing affection for one another. Then he places his hand against hers, once again showing affection. She accepts this and decides to hold his hand too. He continues making the low rumbling noises as he continues down, and she hears it through her ears. Then he continues with the sign of affection, gently rubbing his body and tail down hers. She then turns around to face him. She too nudges him. Both of them now show affection to one another. This makes them an official group. The young male Sarcosuchus' name is Jonathan. And now that they showed affection to each other, he is permitted to stay by her side through nesting, through the dry season, and up until death. The two stay close by each other and begin to wander back to the small lake, where their new home awaits. They now enter the small lake. Scarsnout is looking for a mate as well. This could be difficult for him. There hasn't been another female Tyrannosaurus in the valley. He hasn't seen one. This could be difficult for him, as he will have to wait till next year to find another mate. That is, if there are any left. He comes upon a forest of monkey puzzle trees. He inspects this as he smells something. He decides to follow the smell. Then he finds the reason for the scent. It's Big Bull. He's sleeping in his territory. Big Bull, recently fighting Snaggletooth, has been trying his best to erase the memory of when his mother died for his encounter with the two Allosaurus. Seeing that the alpha male was still alive, and also that Alicia has gotten older. Scarsnout, as well as all the other dinosaurs, know of this bad memory he has, and of which Scarsnout decides to not disturb him and leaves. It is unknown when Big Bull will find a mate too, but for now, he rests in his territory. He's peaceful until somebody will bother him. Once again, in the valley, it starts to rain. Rainfall's good, as again, foliage can show up. And right now, we are down the sauropod path. Since it's mating season, the sauropod path is expected to be full of ultrasaurs trying their best to find a mate. And in here, there are a group. Many different species gather here, such as the big brachiosaurus named Marty, to small apatosaurs like Pat, to a juvenile Argentinosaurus, to the mighty Diplodocus. This is the Jurassic Mother. She has taken out her kids to show them what they will need to prepare for when it's their time to mate when they get older. Leah and Yaza are young Diplodocuses, so learning will help them as they grow into adulthood. Pat the Apatosaurus tries his best to win the affections of a young female Apatosaurus. Luckily for him, she is already interested. So, this gives him the right to mate. Now they are both a pair, and are committed to stay by each other, through thick and thin. The leader of this group is an old brachiosaurus named Marty. We've seen him before, but we don't know much about him. He's the biggest out of the sauropods. The lone Argentinosaurus will grow big, bigger than Marty, but he's got a lot of growing to do in order to reach that level. However, a giant female Diplodocus notices something traveling down the valley. It's Tony and his small herd of Stegosaurus. They have wandered down the sauropod path because most of the rainfall is coming over here. The sauropods themselves welcome him into joining. Now with the protection of Stegosaurus, they can all stay calm because Stegosaurus is a mighty dinosaur. It is not afraid to fight, so if any carnivore comes by and tries to hunt them down with Stegosaurus, they'll be lucky enough to make it out alive. Tony himself came down here because he lost a herd member to Kira, the Giganotosaurus. These Stegosauruses themselves will need to find a mate soon, but for a herd this big, a mate usually isn't needed. Seeing that they're now being protected by Tony and his herd, Leah and Yaisa decide to go play, but to stay in the group in case there are any dangers. A carnivore is on the move looking for a mate as well. It's Alicia. Since it's mating season, she has now decided that she will be able to mate with another male Allosaurus. That is, if she can find one. Luckily for her, she spots one. She slowly approaches the male Allosaurus. This Allosaurus' name is Guanji. He is the dominant male in the valley. He may not look like an Allosaurus. Instead, this is how scientists believe Allosaurus looked in the past. And somehow, with evolution, Guanji has managed to look like that. Before Big Bull came into the valley, he used to be the leader of the valley, and this valley used to be his. It used to be called the Forbidden Valley. But now that Big Bull came and took his throne, Guanji is to remain wandering through the valley. Alicia will try her best to attract the male Allosaurus. Alicia now approaches Guanji. They meet eye to eye. Guanji isn't sure. She shows she's receptive simply by bending over. This gives Guanji the ability to inspect her simply by checking her out and smelling her. She's a young Allosaurus, so she might not be lucky. However, Guanji nudges her to get up, showing that he has accepted her. Alicia now has a mate. And if they're lucky, they can have the second generation of Allosaurus. That is until saved by the tail of Kira, the Giganotosaurus. In defeat, the Allosaurus retreats. Guanji makes it out alive, with deep wounds on his ribs, but he will recover. Guanji will no longer try his best to mate with Alicia. He now only sees her as a threat. Kita himself doesn't like the Allosaurus either. Much like Big Bull, he himself had an experience with the alpha male Allosaurus that will forever haunt him too. Kita's lower jaw appears broken. That's because when he was a young one, he was attacked by the male Allosaurus. Kita plans to one day end all of the trouble that the male Allosaurus is causing in the valley. However, that won't be until another day. So for now, Kita continues feasting on the Stegosaurus carcass. Enraged in embarrassment, Alicia wanders away from her father. Up next for mating season are the Triceratops. They have now spread out on the plains. The old male sees if anyone is to challenge him for his mate Terra. And two giant male Triceratops have joined, one being younger than the other. This one's name is Jorge. He's too young to fight. Rather than try his best, he wanders away, instead of interfering with the male. However, the larger male challenges the predecessor. Now on the battleground, they begin to fight. While the two giant males fight, Jorge watches. However, Terra approaches him. Jorge is too young and too small for Terra to want to mate with him. However, to not make him feel like a loser, she stands by his side. The male defeats the intruder. Though he's unlucky enough to become the new leader or to mate, he's lucky that he is now part of the group, so he's guaranteed protection. Jorge is actually the giant male's son, and he's brought him here to show him what he will need to do when it's his time to mate. The male Triceratops still wins and has the battle scars to prove it. This is still his herd. But the young bachelor decides to challenge him as well. The older male is bigger than him. However, the young one is stronger. They two begin to fight. The rest of the group watches, worrying that the young one will be killed by the older one. But the young bachelor starts to push the older male, sending him down towards the valley. The fight wanders down the valley as the rest of the group follows after them. The males still lock horns as they still travel down the valley, while the rest of the herd follows them. The young Triceratops is proving strength as he's still managing to push the old one down the valley, while the rest of the herd does their best to keep up. The old male is now losing his strength and is about ready to give up. The herd catches up in time to see that the young male Triceratops has won the battle and is standing on top of the old male to show dominance. He slowly backs away from the old male. It's a possibility that he will let him go join the group. That is, if he can get up. The old male is not done challenging the young male. He's about ready to fight. However, it's not looking good for him. The old male's day has just gotten worse. Big Bull has just woken up and has now gotten his meal of the old male Triceratops, who now met his demise to Big Bull. The Triceratops herd now has a new leader, and it is the young male. Of the small group, when he mates with Terra, the next generation will grow bigger and they'll be more cautious to not cross Big Bull's territory. The young male decides to lead his new herd to a safer location, while Big Bull feasts on the old male. Wandering down the valley is Alicia. She is still mad that her father has made her lost a mate. He is now far off. She left him behind. Alicia notices something. A lone pachycephalosaur is desperately searching for his herd, knowing that Alicia is there. Angry that her father ruined her chances to mate, she attacks him. Her bite is weak, so she decides to use her claws to rapidly hurt the young pachycephalosaur. And again she uses her teeth. He's now been killed. When she's done doing that, she wanders down the valley. Alicia just realized something. She had just killed the pachycephalosaur, but didn't eat it. She now realizes she's becoming a lot like her father.